book reading. I absolutely adore the illustrations in children's stories, and I love sharing them with you all. So if you couldn't tell, I do have a couple special guests joining me tonight. That is going to be the adorable Mr. Frog and the ever-charming Mr. Toad. I also have these earrings that I am extremely proud of. Mr. Toad and Mr. Frog. I never read this series when I was younger, and unfortunately, I'm only now becoming acquainted with it. But trust me, as you can tell, I am very infatuated with them. So I have got this hardcover series of stories of Frog and Toad titled Frog and Toad Together. And it's got Frog here wearing his lovely corduroy pants and his brown coat. And Mr. Toad here in his lovely cap. Lovely cap. They're riding. This is what you call a tandem bicycle, where it's two people. I think so. They're riding their tandem bicycle. Alright. So, as I said, this is actually a collection of different stories. It has the stories, a list, the garden, cookies, dragons and giants, and the dream. I'm going to read you my favorite ones today. Alright, my first favorite is called The Garden. Frog was in his garden. Toad came walking by. "What a fine garden you have, Frog," he said. "Yes," said Frog, "it is very nice, but it was hard work." "I wish I had a garden," said Toad. "Here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground," said Frog, "and soon you will have a garden." "How soon?" asked Toad. "Quite soon," said Frog. Frog and Toad and Frog's wonderful garden. Daisies, this little trellis. Toad ran home. He planted the flower seeds. "Now, seeds," said Toad, "start growing." Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, "Now, seeds, start growing." Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start to grow. I feel the same way when my garden takes forever to start growing. Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, "Now, seeds, start growing." Frog came running up the path. "What is all this noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," said Toad. "You are shouting too much," said Frog. "The poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" asked Toad. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them. Soon your seeds will start to grow." Toad looked out of his window. "Drat," said Toad. "My seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark." Toad went out to his garden with some candles. "I will read the seeds a story," said Toad. "They will not be afraid." Toad read a long story to his seeds. I love the little candle he's got. Oh, he's got 4 candles here. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad read poems to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not start to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." Then Toad felt very tired, and he fell asleep. "Toad, wake up," said Frog. "Look at your garden." Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. "At last," shouted Toad, "my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow." "And now you will have a nice garden too," said Frog. "Yes," said Toad, "but you were right, Frog. It was very hard work." He's exhausted, but it paid off. Let's see. Okay. My next favorite story of the Frog and Toad series is called The Dream. We've got Toad here in his lovely dapper outfit. I love the big feather swooping up out of his hat and his ruffled collar. And his boots, look at the bows on them. Wonderful. His puffy sleeves and his cape. Toad was asleep, and he was having a dream. He was on stage, and he was wearing a costume. Toad looked out into the dark. Frog was sitting in the theater. A strange voice from far away said, "Presenting the greatest Toad in all the world." Toad took a deep bow. Frog looked smaller as he shouted, "Hooray for Toad!" "Toad will now play the piano very well," said the strange voice. Toad played the piano, and he did not miss a note. Frog cried to Toad, "Can you play the piano like this?" "No," said Frog. It seemed to Toad that Frog looked even smaller. "Toad will now walk on a high wire, and he will not fall down," said the voice. Toad walked on the high wire. Frog cried to Toad, "Can you do tricks like this?" "No," peeped a frog, who looked very, very small. You can see he just gets smaller and smaller and smaller, smaller and smaller and smaller. Toad will said Toad as he danced all over the stage. There was no answer. Toad looked out into the theater. Frog was so small that he could not be seen or heard. "Frog," said Toad, "where are you?" There was still no answer. "Frog, what have I done?" cried Toad. Then the voice said, "The greatest Toad will now." "Shut up!" screamed Toad. "Frog, Frog, where have you gone?" Toad was spinning in the dark. "Come back, Frog," he shouted. "I will be lonely." You can see Toad, his hat up in the wind. He's swirling about the theater, swirling about all the chairs below him. His cape is whirring in the wind, his ruffles. "I am right here," said Frog. Frog was standing near Toad's bed. "Wake up, Toad," he said. "Frog, is that really you?" said Toad. "Of course it is me," said Frog. "And are you your own right size?" asked Toad. "Yes, I think so," said Frog. Toad looked at the sunshine coming through the window. "Frog," he said, "I am so glad that you came over." "I always do," said Frog. I love his little pajama set, his little polka dot green and white pants, polka dot pants, polka dot pants, polka dot pants. Let's see. I was originally only going to read the two, but I feel like we've got time for one more. We'll read this one, called Dragons and Giants. Frog and Toad were reading a book together. "The people in this book are brave," said Toad. "They fight dragons and giants, and they are never afraid." "I wonder if we are brave," said Frog. Frog and Toad looked into a mirror. "We look brave," said Frog. "Yes, but are we?" asked Toad. You can see that mirror staring into the mirror. Toad holding the book of fairy tales, Frog's arms grasped behind his back. It's my dream to have a mirror like this one day. Frog and Toad went outside. "We can try to climb this mountain," said Frog. "That should tell us if we are brave." Frog went leaping over the rocks, and Toad came puffing up behind him. They came to a dark cave. A big snake came out of the cave. "Hello, Lunch," said the snake when he saw Frog and Toad. He opened his wide mouth. Frog and Toad jumped away. Toad was shaking. "I am not afraid," he cried. They climbed higher, and they heard a loud noise. Many large stones were rolling down the mountain. "It is an avalanche," cried Toad. Frog and Toad jumped away. Frog was trembling. "I am not afraid," he shouted. They came to the top of the mountain. The shadow of a hawk Frog and Toad jumped under a rock. The hawk flew away. "We are not afraid," screamed Frog and Toad at the same time. Then they ran down the mountain very fast. They ran past the place where they saw the avalanche. They ran past the place where they saw the snake. They ran all the way to Toad's house. "Frog, I am glad to have a brave friend like you," said Toad. He jumped into the bed and pulled the covers over his head. "And I am happy to know a brave person like you, Toad," said Frog. He jumped into the closet and shut the door. Toad stayed in the bed, and Frog stayed in the closet. They stayed there for a long time, just feeling very brave together. I keep saying this is the last one, but we'll do one more. They're just too sweet. This story is called A List. One morning, Toad sat in bed. "I have many things to do," he said. "I will write them all down on a list so that I can remember them." Toad wrote on a piece of paper, "A list of things to do today." Then he wrote, "Wake up." "I have done that," said Toad, and he crossed it out. Then Toad wrote down other things on the paper. "A list of things to do today. Wake up, eat breakfast, get dressed, go to Frog's house, take a walk with Frog, eat lunch, take a nap, play games with Frog, eat supper, go to sleep." "There," said Toad. "Now my day is all written down." He got out of bed and had something to eat. Then Toad crossed out, "Eat breakfast." I adore his kettle. Toad took his clothes out of the closet and put them on. Then he crossed out, "Get dressed." Toad put the list in his pocket. He opened the door and walked out into the morning. Soon Toad was at Frog's front door. He took the list from his pocket and crossed out, "Go to Frog's house." Toad knocked at the door. "Hello," said Frog. "Look at my list of things to do," said Toad. "Oh," said Frog, "that is very nice." Toad said, "My list tells me that we shall go for a walk." "All right," said Frog, "I am ready." Frog and Toad went on a long walk. Then Toad took the list from his pocket again. He crossed out, "Take a walk with Frog." Just then there was a strong wind. It blew the list out of Toad's hand. The list blew high into the air. "Help!" cried Toad. "My list is blowing away. What will I do without my list?" "Hurry," said Frog. "We will run and catch it." was the last thing on my list. Toad wrote on the ground with a stick, "Go to sleep." Then he crossed it out. "Go to sleep." "There," said Toad. "Now my day is all crossed out." "I am glad," said Frog. Then Frog and Toad went right to sleep. I actually have this illustration on a t-shirt. It's one of my favorites. I love this illustration on the back. This is one of the stories. It's called Cookies.